Hello, welcome back to my channel. So we are reading, or I'm reading, we are reading Smart Money Woman by Arese, our fave. So last chapter was chapter 3, so we're currently in chapter 4. In chapter 3, we saw Zuri held a dinner party with her girls, and they all spoke about where all their money had been going. And then Lidum, yes, give it to Adesua for being stupid. Basically, she's being stupid over her husband's birthday. So yeah, please don't forget to like and subscribe. So we'll get into the reading. And yes, I will be adding side notes, or I will be making side notes because it's getting interesting and I might not be able to hold it back. Chapter 4, Dealing with Debt. This sun is out in full force, Lara thought as she squinted. This was bad, particularly on a weekend when you have to attend an outdoor function. When you had to attend an outdoor function in Lagos. She got out of her BMW and started walking towards the venue. She was slightly annoyed because it had taken her 20 minutes to find parking, and the security man at the house she parked next to had demanded 500 naira. It wasn't that the money was a lot. She certainly could have tipped him at least that much. It was the sense of entitlement that bugged her. Madam, you can't park here unless you pay 500, he had said with authority. She had just rolled her eyes, wound down her window and paid up because she hadn't had the patience to argue. This man had turned the small patch of land in front of his Oga's house into a business, taking advantage of the fact that there was a party happening up the road. The laws of demand and supply, I guess. She laughed to herself. This was Lagos. Everyone had to hustle to make an extra buck. As she walked towards the party, tiny beads of sweat started to form at her temples. Her makeup had already begun to feel like it was melting off her face, and it would probably get worse because Banke was having her son's first birthday celebration in the garden of their beautiful Ikoyi home. As Lara approached the gate and winced at the damage that the bad road was doing to the heels of her Louis Vuitton, she realized how much she dreaded these children's parties. It was weird because she loved children and hoped to have some of hers one day, but that was precisely it. She was approaching her mid-30s, and parties like this just reminded her of everything she didn't have yet: a husband and children, and that her proverbial biological clock was ticking. 2 days ago, she had absolutely no intention of making an appearance. She had planned to cite an unavoidable work emergency, call Banke after the party to apologize profusely, and send a gift for her son. However, Zuri had called her last night to guilt trip her into coming. You can't be serious, Lara. We've known Banke since university. You know how long she has been trying for a boy. It's good to celebrate with people when they are celebrating, and mourn with them when they are mourning. Zuri tone had reminded Lara of her own mother. Remember that one day you get married and have a baby too, and won't you expect all your friends to be there to celebrate with you? And exasperated, Lara finally agreed. Okay, oh, I have heard. I'll be there tomorrow. Zuri wasn't wrong. It was good to celebrate with people when they were celebrating. Lara believed that at her core. Plus, there was a part of her that felt slightly sorry for the pressure Banker had been under in the last few years to have a boy. However, her sympathy remained slight because, as far as she was concerned, the pressure was mostly self-induced. Of course, Banker's obsession with producing a male child was fed by Nigerian society obsession with boys, coupled with a fair amount of pressure from her in-laws. But the fact was, the woman had already had three beautiful girls who were happy and healthy before her son had arrived. Some people hadn't even gotten married, nor had the opportunity to have a child, nor had the opportunity to have a child. So it was a bit selfish of Banker to expect sympathy. Banker was also one of those annoying women who started almost every sentence with, "My husband said," or "You won't understand because you don't have kids." I hate them. The more Lara thought about previous conversations she had engaged in with Banker, the more irritable her mood became. She passed through security, checked her name off the guest list, and navigated her way through to Banker's garden. Their backyard had been transformed into some sort of kiddies' wonderland. She recognized some characters from a cartoon she was sure she grew up watching, but couldn't quite place the name. There was a little boy and lots of animals, and the place looked like an actual forest. As she walked by a wooden sign that said, "Wild Jungle Party starting here," rumble in the jungle, it hit her. It was a jungle book. How clever, Lara thought. As she approached the kids' eating area, which was surrounded by a mix of large palm trees and coconut trees, she couldn't help but marvel at how realistic the jungle looked. They must have spent a fortune on decor. "Hi, Banker. Where's the birthday boy?" Lara kissed her friend on both cheeks and gave her a fox hug. A full hug. Yes, full, meaning fake. "He's having the time of his life in the playpen with the other kids his age. It's such a pity he's not old enough to play in the treehouse with the older kids. You know, it took the carpenters 2 whole days to erect that thing," Banker replied with a smug, self-satisfied look. As she walked towards the adult section to find Zuri, Lara looked up at the beautifully constructed treehouse, which had actual vines and leaves hanging from them. There was also a spectacular waterfall, flanked by rocks on each side and complete with fun plastic flamingos bubbling in the water. Lara took it all in, amused. She wasn't sure why she even bothered being surprised anymore. This is Lagos, where almost everything was a large-scale production, including a one-year-old's birthday party. The extravagance was never about the child though. They were really about the parents and their celebration of life. Air quotes. A party like this would surely have set them back a few million naira. She spotted Zuri and tried to wave to catch her attention, but she was deep in conversation with another woman. As she got closer to their table, she realized the girl was Chinasa, who Lara despised. It wasn't because she had done anything to her directly. She just hated something about the girl. She just hated everything the girl stood for. She was a fairly young fashionista who had found a way to ingratiate, you get it, herself into every social, what's wrong with me today? Stratum in Lagos. Regardless of age, there were 40 years old guys who was regardless of age, there were 40-year-old guys she was besties with. Even Lara had to admit it. She had the whole innocent "I'm such a sweet girl" act down pat. The thing was, Lara had heard some rather unsavory things come out of the girl's mouth about others. It was a wonder that people didn't see through her. She had once mentioned to Lara at another party that a famous actress was working with was broke, couldn't afford her services, was always begging for freebies, was sleeping around Lagos for money, and how she couldn't stand her because she lacked morals. The following week on Instagram, Lara spotted an emotional post the actress put up of Chinasa saying how she was such an amazing person who was so selfless and loyal. It made Lara sick to her stomach. She wondered what the rat was telling Zuri now. Haha. Yay, Lara, you made it. Zuri said as she stood up to hug her. What's wrong with yourself? I told you I was coming now. Lara laughed. Hey sis, said Chinasa, sounding rather excited. Hey, Lara responded with a forced smile. Hey. She looked at Zuri. Can you come with me to the bathroom? The heat is destroying my makeup. I need to go and touch up, and I'm sure, and I'm not out here, and I'm shit. I need to go and touch up, so I'm not out here looking crazy. Ha 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 ha, you look fine, Joe, Zuri replied. I'll show you where it is. Chinasa, we'll be back soon, okay? They both stood in the guest bathroom in front of the mirror, examining their faces. Lara reached for her House of Tara compact and dabbed the T-zone to remove any traces of oil, while Zuri retouched her House of Tara Arese lipstick. What was that Chinasa girl saying to you? Lara asked. You know she's quite a gossip. Be careful what you say to her. She's one of those people you don't have to even tell actual gist to. They just twist even the most mundane piece of information, then carry your matter like a town carrier. Zuri laughed. It's funny. She was actually saying the vilest things about Bankia. I can't lie. I wanted to hear the gist. But at the same time, it made me uncomfortable because we're still in the woman's house, for God's sake. Vile? How so? I beg, spill. What did she say? Lara laughed. Even me, I want to hear. Basically, she was saying that Bankia and Femi can never afford the lavish parties they have been known for. They are loaded now. Femi has been running a lucrative oil and gas business for years. What is that small rat on about? Lara scoffed. Ha! The girl said it took Banki a year to finish paying off all the vendors from her third child birthday party 2 years ago. Zuri, beg, stop the joke. Which Lagos vendor will let someone owe them for 1 year and not disgrace them? Lara said as she rolled her eyes. Girl, that's what I'm saying too. But Chinasa claims that Banky had paid substantial deposits before the party and just stopped picking up their calls after the party was done. Apparently, it didn't become a big scandal because of their family name, and the vendors didn't want to spoil the prospect of future business with bankers, saying that she's known for throwing lavish parties. That's so bizarre. I wonder if there's any truth to it. That wasn't all, though. She said Banke owed several Nigerian designers around Lagos for clothes they had made for her, and she had yet to pay them. She said combined with the debt she had racked up was in the millions. Zuri clapped her hands dramatically. Anyways, please don't repeat this. I'm tired of this Lagos. Only God knows if any of this is true. I'm pretty sure we are not the only ones that heard this gist. Let's go back to our party. Lara nodded. All this at a 1-year-old's birthday party. It's mind-boggling. As she and Lara approached the table, Zuri noticed that a few guys had joined Chinasa and they were deep in conversation. See you. It's all bank funded. Their entire lifestyle, said Sunji, one of Femi's friends. Is it just that? Does he pay his staff? He doesn't. Meanwhile, they'll be throwing a party that costs millions, said a guy Zuri couldn't quite place. Chinasa was smiling coquettishly. Well, are you sure? Banky just asked me to star her for December because she has so many events to attend. Do you think I should not take the job? Because I'm really busy in December. You know, since that Bella Niger article, the whole world wants me to star them, and I'm so overwhelmed. I'll hate to give up other jobs for her and not get paid. Advise me. What do you think I should do? Yeah, I imagine her voice being that annoying. Zuri observed Chinasa in appalling awe. Lara was right. This girl is a whole I'm so innocent routine. This girl has a whole I'm so innocent routine down pat. The lessons she threw at Sunji and his friend, the looks she threw at Sunji and his friend like a damsel in distress, were at odds with the fact that she had just said some pretty nasty things about Banke. It was obvious that Chinasa had led everyone down the path of discussing the couple supposed money woes. On her drive home later that evening, Zuri reflected on everything she had heard that day. The combination of stories about Banke and Femi and their gbese made her feel, well, some type of way. That Chinasa girl was quite mean-spirited. She was surprised she hadn't really noticed that about her before, but she couldn't imagine what she had to gain from spreading these stories and inciting even more malicious ones. It didn't even matter if they were true or not. Banky had invited her to her son's birthday because she thought she was so sweet. It's funny, Zuri thought, how you never know what people really think of you and what they are capable of saying about you, even under your own roof. Banky would have a fit if she ever heard this. As her cab drove through the gates of her apartment building, Zuri contemplated her own money situation. She looked up at the balconies of her neighbors and wondered if there were rumors already circulating about her inability to pay service charge. Mr. Okeke would have undoubtedly complained about her to at least one or two other residents, and the Lagos gist would have new further to grind. Yes. Zuri began checking her email as she walked up the stairs of her flat. There was a very polite email from Nneka, the retail manager at Stasi, reminding her that she had an 80,000 naira balance to pay at the end of the month, and an extra late fee of 15% would be added to the agreed 2% credited fee if payment was not made by the 30th of this month. Suri sat on her bed and reread the mail and examined the invoice Nneka had sent. Zazie had a credit policy for their loyal high-end customers, which she enjoyed. It was usually for clients who worked at banks, whose debts could be deducted directly from their salaries at the end of the month. But they charged an additional 1% premium, and customers were expected to pay within 30 days. At this point, it occurred to Zuri that she had not fully accounted for her total debt. She had only been stressed about the immediate threats. She had obsessively thought about little else other than Mr. Okeke and how she would probably pay him in good time. She had completely forgotten that the trickle debt that was adding up to another river. 60,000 for 2 ashwebi she had collected on credit, 70,000 for an Indian hair that a friend had brought from the US. This was becoming a mess. Even when she had made several changes to her spending in the last few weeks, she needed to confront her debt in its entirety and formulate a strategy to beat it down. A plan began to form in her mind. It was drastic but simple. More importantly, it would be effective. She made a list of all her debt, an amount, and the name of the person or business she owed. The total came to 1.2 million. It was not a small amount, but consolidating it made it less scary. Then she prioritized the debt according to their urgency. Mr. Okeke at the top of the list. She needed a place to live. She set a schedule for her schedule. Well, I don't know. For how long it would take to pay off each debt, placing a realistic time for when she could afford to pay off each loan. She didn't want to make the timelines too comfortable, but she knew it had to be paid off as quickly as possible so she could be debt-free. Next, raising money to clear her debt. She had already been able to save 210,000 from the previous month, but that still left a substantial amount of the debt to clear. She earned 600,000 naira, so she decided she could squeeze out another 220,000 from her salary this month to pay Mr. Okeke in full. Paying in installments will only drag the misery out longer, since the next bill for service charge was already looming. Tammy had told her about a shopping consignment outfit called Luxury Concierge, which could help her offload her designer bags fairly quickly if they were in decent conditions. She called them and set up a meeting so their staff could inspect and value the bags to set a realistic selling price. One of the co-founders, Maria, had spoken with her on the phone, had told her that if everything went well, they could sell the bags for as much as 400,000 each in about 10 days because Chanel and Alexandra McQueen were in high demand. She would sell the car. It was costing her too much money just to maintain it. It would have been easier to buy and manage a brand new Toyota. But at this point, so she'll sell the car. It was costing her too much money just to maintain it. It would have been easier to buy and maintain a brand new Toyota. But at this point, the sweet bonus she got when she started her job at Richmond made it almost impossible to turn down the terrific offer she was getting from a friend of a friend who had to sell the car because he was moving abroad. A 30-minute conversation later, Zuri had persuaded her mechanic to put her car on the market and to recoup the 200,000 she owed him from the profit of the sale. He would get a 5% commission for assisting her with selling the car. She had also convinced Tammy to pick her up from work for a while. Tammy had grumbled, but Zuri knew she could always rely on her in times like this. She knew it wasn't a sustainable solution, but it would have to do for now. She placed a long overdue phone call to Dr. Emeka. He told her the fibroid wasn't aggressive. Yeah, you're excited too, yeah? Not an aggressive fibroid. Yay! And she had some time to consider her treatment options, which included just leaving them alone if they weren't growing. Apparently, many women her age opted to have babies even with the fibroid, with the choice to take them out after delivery. All the options terrified her, but she felt better knowing that she had a cleaner plan to address her healthcare issues. Clearer plan. Smart money lesson. Slay your debt. Debt can be a very useful tool to maintain financial success, but how you use it matters. Wealthy people use debt as tools to leverage their investments and grow their cash flow, but poor people use debt to buy things that make rich people richer. Only borrow to acquire an asset that will appreciate in value. People with bad debt habits would typically go into debt buying things their income cannot support. They will borrow money to purchase big ticket items that don't appreciate in value and most likely can't cover the cost of debts over time. Exercise. Understand your debt and deal with it. 1. Acknowledge the total amount of your debts by making a list. 2. Set a repayment schedule that includes how much you owe each person or institution. 3. Prioritize your debt. Decide which one are most important. This depends on the particular situation. You could slay the larger debt. Larger debt first to give you more confidence that the rest are manageable. Or you could decide it is the best to start with the debt charged with the highest interest rate, so the debt does not increase. Otherwise, it's best to pay the one with the most imminent wahala. In Zuri's case, her landlord was hounding. Yep. In Zuri's case, her landlord was hounding her, and further non-payments could lead to an eviction. 4. Set deadlines for each loan. There should be an estimate of how long it is going to take you to pay off each debt. 5. Decide how you plan to raise the money. Stop it. To pay the money. For example, deciding to cut your outflow to create room in your budget every month. For example, deciding to cut your outflow to create room in your budget every month towards paying down your debt. Finding another source of income or selling of valuable items you don't necessarily need are all options to consider. 6. Think about the triggers that led you into debt in the first place and try to eliminate them. There's no point getting out of debt only to dive back in. That is the end of chapter 4. Please like and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment. Yes. So see you in chapter 5, or hear from you in chapter 5.